In the sprawling heart of the Hellenistic world, the vast Seleucid Empire pulsed with power and ambition. Its ruler was Seleucus I Nicator, one of Alexander the Great's most formidable generals. Now a king in his own right, Seleucus the Victor had carved out an immense territory stretching from the Aegean Sea to the borders of India. His reign was one of constant consolidation, strategic marriages, and the founding of new cities. To cement a crucial alliance, the aging king took a new, young bride. She was Stratonice, the daughter of Demetrius Poliorcetes, a vibrant and beautiful princess of Macedon. Their wedding was a grand affair, a symbol of unity between two powerful dynasties. Stratonice, barely a woman, found herself the queen of an empire, married to a man older than her own father. The court buzzed with whispers about the age difference and the political machinations behind the union. Yet the marriage was a political success, and Seleucus was content. The king had a son from his first wife, a capable and respected heir named Antiochus. Antiochus was the future of the empire, a prince beloved by the army and the people. He was a man grown, serious and dedicated to the duties of the state. When his father remarried, Antiochus dutifully welcomed his new stepmother, the young Queen Stratonice. But from the first moment he saw her, a forbidden passion took root in his heart. He was captivated by her grace, her youth, and the melancholy in her eyes. Antiochus, the disciplined soldier and heir, found himself hopelessly in love with his father's wife. He knew his love was a betrayal, a sacrilege that could destroy him and threaten the empire. He fought to conceal his feelings, avoiding the queen's presence whenever possible. The internal conflict began to take a devastating toll on his health. The once vigorous prince grew pale and withdrawn, refusing food and shunning company. A mysterious illness seemed to consume him, wasting his body away day by day. The court physicians were baffled, unable to find any physical cause for his decline. They tried various remedies and potions, but nothing could halt the prince's deterioration. King Seleucus was overcome with grief and fear for his only son and heir. The stability of his entire empire rested on Antiochus's survival. In desperation, Seleucus summoned the most renowned physician of the age, Erasistratus of CEOs. Erasistratus was a brilliant and insightful man, a student of human nature as much as medicine. He arrived at the palace and began his careful observation of the ailing prince. He spoke with the prince, but Antiochus remained silent, lost in his despair. Erasistratus checked his pulse, his temperature, and found no clear sign of disease. The physician suspected the ailment was not of the body, but of the mind or heart. He decided to sit with the prince throughout the day, observing everyone who came and went. Courtiers, servants, and guards entered and left. But the prince's condition remained unchanged. Then, in the afternoon, Queen Stratonice entered the room to pay her respects. As she approached the bed, Erasistratus, with his hand on the prince's wrist, felt a sudden change. Antiochus's heart began to pound violently. A flush of color rose to his pale cheeks. A light sweat broke out on his forehead, and his breathing became short and labored. When the queen departed, the symptoms subsided as quickly as they had appeared. Erasistratus knew he had found the cause of the illness. To confirm his diagnosis, he arranged for other beautiful women of the court to visit the prince. Antiochus showed no reaction to any of them. But when Stratonice returned the next day, the same violent symptoms erupted once more. The diagnosis was certain. The prince was dying of love for his stepmother. Now, The physician faced an even greater challenge: how to reveal this impossible truth to the king. He requested a private audience with Seleucus, his face grave. Erasistratus began with a clever, cautious test. "Your son's illness is one of the heart," he said. "He is in love." Ligni. The king demanded to know the name of the woman who held his son's life in her hands. With feigned reluctance, Erasistratus declared, "He is in love with my wife." Seleucus was taken aback, but then he began to plead with the physician. "You are my friend," the king implored. "Would you not give up your wife to save my son, the heir to the empire?" Erasistratus looked the king directly in the eye. "My lord," he asked, "would you do the same if the prince were in love with your wife, Stratonice?" The king cried out that he would gladly give up his wife and his kingdom to save his son. At that moment, Erasistratus revealed the truth. "Then you alone hold the cure," the physician said softly, "for it is indeed Stratonice whom he loves." Seleucus was stunned into silence, the weight of the revelation crashing down upon him. He was torn between his duty as a king, his honor as a husband, and his love as a father. For a time, he wrestled with his decision in solitude. The death of his heir would plunge the empire into a succession crisis and civil war. His love for his son, however, was profound and undeniable. Ultimately, the king's pragmatism and his fatherly love won out over personal pride. He made a decision that was as shocking as it was unprecedented. Seleucus called a great assembly of his generals and the people. He stood before them, his face a mask of regal gravity. He announced that he had discovered the cause of his son's illness and its only cure. Then, to the astonishment of all, he declared his intention to divorce Queen Stratonice, praised her virtue and her character, making it clear she was without fault. He then proclaimed that he was giving her in marriage to his son, Antiochus. A wave of stunned silence washed over the assembly, followed by a roar of approval. Furthermore, he appointed Antiochus and Stratonice as the new king and queen of the eastern provinces. This act would give his son purpose, power, and the woman he loved. The news was carried to the prince's sickbed. Upon hearing that Stratonice was to be his, Antiochus began to recover almost immediately. The love that had been a fatal poison now became his life-giving cure. The wedding of Antiochus and Stratonice was held, a strange but joyous occasion. A father had given his wife to his son to save his life and secure the future. Antiochus, Isoter, and Queen Stratonice ruled the eastern Seleucid Empire together for many years. Their union, born from a scandalous love, proved to be a stable and fruitful one. They had 5 children, ensuring the continuation of the Seleucid line. Antiochus even named a city, Stratonice, in honor of the wife he had so desperately loved. The story of the Seleucid love triangle became a legend, a testament to a father's love and a king's pragmatism. What could have been a devastating scandal was transformed into an act of profound statesmanship. The empire was saved, the dynasty was secured, and the lovers were united. The tale begins in the vast expanse of the Seleucid realm, a kingdom forged in the crucible of conquest. King Seleucus, a titan of his era, ruled with a hand of iron and a mind of keen strategy. His court was a center of Hellenistic culture, a beacon of Greek civilization in the heart of Asia. The arrival of Stratonice brought a new, youthful energy to the aging court. She was a living piece of art, a diplomatic treasure from the West. Antiochus, in his initial encounters, tried to maintain a formal distance, but his eyes would betray him, lingering on her for a moment too long. He began to neglect his duties, his mind lost in a fog of impossible desire. The palace gardens became his only solace, a place to brood in solitude. His rapid physical decline alarmed everyone in the royal household. Rumors spread through the palace corridors like a creeping vine. Some whispered of poison, others of a divine curse. King Seleucus dismissed these rumors, trusting only in rational medicine. Stratonice's method was one of pure, detached observation. He noted the prince's complete apathy to all worldly matters. The physician felt a subtle tremor in the prince's hand when Stratonice spoke. He saw the prince's gaze follow her every move, a moth drawn to a flame. The test with his own wife was a masterful stroke of psychological genius. Seleucus's passionate response revealed his own paternal devotion. The king's love for his son was the key Stratonice needed to unlock the truth. The silence in the throne room after the revelation was deafening. Seleucus considered the faces of his ancestors, their portraits lining the hall. He weighed his personal honor against the continuation of his legacy. His decision was not just that of a father, but of a founder of an empire. The public announcement was a masterclass in royal communication. He framed his personal sacrifice as a necessary act for the good of the state. Stratonice accepted her fate with quiet dignity and grace. She understood her role as a queen was one of duty. The transfer of power to the eastern provinces was a brilliant strategic move. It gave Antiochus a kingdom to rule and a reason to live. Love story, once a secret shame, became a celebrated public romance. Their reign was marked by peace and the flourishing of arts and culture. The scandal of Queen Stratonice was thus transformed into a founding myth for a new generation of rulers. The empire, which had teetered on the brink of chaos, found a new equilibrium. Seleucus I Nicator would later fall in battle, but his lineage was secure. Antiochus mourned his father deeply, but ruled with the strength his father had bestowed upon him. Stratonice stood by his side, a constant source of support and wisdom. Their children grew up hearing the incredible story of their parents' union. It was a lesson in the complexities of love, duty, and destiny. Physician Stratonice was honored throughout the kingdom for his wisdom. His diagnosis was not merely medical, but profoundly human. He understood that the heart holds ailments that no potion can cure. The love triangle, a source of potential ruin, became the empire's salvation. Seleucus's choice demonstrated a rare form of leadership, placing stability above personal pride. Antiochus's recovery was a symbol of the kingdom's own renewal. The story echoed through the halls of history, a strange and romantic footnote in the annals of kings. It showed that even in an age of iron and conquest, the human heart held the ultimate power. The sun set on one king's reign, only to rise on the reign of his son. The queen, a pawn in a game of thrones, became a beloved ruler in her own right. Their shared kingdom in the east became a bastion of Hellenistic culture. The memory of Seleucus' sacrifice was never forgotten by his son. And so, the scandalous love affair was woven into the very fabric of the Seleucid dynasty. It served as a reminder that a king's greatest strength is sometimes found in surrender. The tale of Stratonice was more than gossip. It was a lesson in kingship. Her beauty had nearly shattered an empire, but her destiny was to help rule it. Antiochus, who had wished for death, was granted a life of love and purpose. The kingdom thrived, built on the foundation of a father's impossible choice. History would remember it as an act of supreme wisdom and paternal love. The love that was a sickness became the cure for a kingdom. And the Seleucid line continued, stronger and more secure than before. The whispers in the court eventually faded, replaced by respect. The scandal had become a celebrated chapter of their imperial history.